She was just a maid accused of stealing by the billionaire. She served for years, dragged to court with no lawyer, no support, and no one willing to believe her until the billionaire's own daughter walked into the courtroom holding a folder and said 7 words that changed everything they thought they knew. Before we continue with this story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Oh, and don't forget to comment below where you're watching us from. We love to know that. Eleanor Carter had worked as a housemaid for the Montgomery family for many years, responsible for every corner of their sprawling estate. She cooked their meals, maintained their rooms, and kept everything perfectly organized. Over those years, she had formed an unbreakable bond with Sophia, the young daughter of Marcus Montgomery. Eleanor treated Sophia with tenderness, as if she were her own child, sharing stories during quiet afternoons and comforting her when nightmares came. Yet the rest of the household, especially Vivian, Marcus's controlling mother, kept Eleanor at arm's length, treating her with icy politeness and constant suspicion despite her flawless record. One afternoon, everything collapsed. A priceless heirloom ring vanished from the mansion, a piece passed down through generations. Panic erupted. Vivian immediately pointed her finger at Eleanor, declaring her the only outsider with access to the room. Eleanor stood frozen, stunned by the accusation. She had done nothing wrong and had no idea where the ring could be, but Vivian's voice drowned out reason, loud and certain, demanding action. Marcus hesitated, caught between years of trust and his mother's relentless pressure. Eventually he gave in. He approached Eleanor with a grave expression and told her it was best she leave immediately. Her chest tightened as disbelief turned to devastation. After everything she had given, this was her reward. Police arrived within the hour, questioning her in front of the entire household. Eleanor was taken to the station, alone and terrified, with no lawyer and no means to afford one. She was released later that evening, but told she would face trial. When she returned to her small apartment, the world felt different. Word of the accusation spread like wildfire. Neighbors who once greeted her warmly now avoided eye contact. Whispers followed her at the grocery store. People stepped away as if guilt were contagious. The trust she had spent years building evaporated overnight. She thought constantly of Sophia, wondering if the little girl believed the lies too. That thought cut deeper than anything else. Weeks passed in isolation. Eleanor stayed inside, replaying that terrible day over and over. She wondered if the truth would ever surface, if the ring would be found, or if anyone would realize the mistake. She had no resources to investigate, no connections to lean on. Shame clung to her like a shadow. She barely slept, and when she did, nightmares followed. Each morning felt heavier than the last. Her reputation was shattered, her livelihood gone, her name forever tied to a crime she didn't commit. She searched through old documents, hoping to find something that might help her case, but without legal support, she felt powerless. The woman who once smiled easily and found pride in her work now sat in silence, fading under the weight of injustice. One quiet afternoon, a knock came at her door. Eleanor opened it to find Sophia standing there alone, nervous but determined. The little girl walked in without a word and threw her arms around Eleanor, holding on tightly. Sophia whispered that she didn't believe what they were saying, that she missed Eleanor every single day, and that she wanted things to go back to normal. Then she pulled a drawing from her backpack, the two of them side by side, smiling. Eleanor's eyes filled with tears. That simple picture reignited something inside her. It reminded her that not everyone had turned away, that she still had someone worth fighting for. After Sophia left, Eleanor sat beside the drawing and made a decision. She couldn't rely on luck. She had to act. She gathered every letter of recommendation from past employers, every document praising her honesty and dedication. She began writing down everything she remembered from the day the ring disappeared, the time she arrived, the tasks she completed, who she spoke to. She wanted a timeline that could prove her innocence. It was slow, exhausting work, but the image of Sophia kept her going. Realizing she needed legal help, Eleanor visited a small legal aid office. After several rejections from expensive lawyers, a young intern named Thomas agreed to help. He wasn't a full attorney yet, but he believed her story and was willing to assist. Together, they reviewed her documents and organized her defense. For the first time since the nightmare began, Eleanor felt like someone was truly on her side. Meanwhile, Vivian was building her own case. She hired Lawrence Grant, a high-profile attorney with a reputation for crushing opponents. She also contacted reporters, feeding them a version of the story that painted Eleanor as untrustworthy and greedy. Soon, headlines appeared calling Elena a thief without any evidence. The media turned against her. Public opinion followed. Elena saw the articles and felt sick, but she refused to give up. She reminded herself that Thomas believed in her, that Sophia believed in her, and that was enough to keep moving forward. Marcus remained silent through it all. He didn't speak to the press, didn't visit Eleanor, didn't defend her. He spent his days watching the news and listening to his mother, looking increasingly troubled, but saying nothing. Deep down, he remembered Eleanor's kindness, her reliability, the way she had cared for Sophia after his wife passed away. But he stayed silent, and his silence spoke volumes. Sophia, meanwhile, felt the growing tension at home. She asked her father and grandmother about Elena, but they avoided the topic. One day she asked Vivian directly what had happened. Vivian's response was cold and final. Eleanor had made a serious mistake and couldn't return. Sophia stopped asking after that, but she didn't stop thinking. At night, she lay awake remembering the stories Elena used to tell, the way she made everything feel safe. While preparing her defense, Eleanor remembered something crucial. There was a security camera in the hallway near the jewelry room. She requested the footage through Thomas. When the report came back, it revealed that the camera had been turned off at the exact time of the alleged theft. Eleanor was stunned. This felt too convenient to be coincidence. She submitted the information to the court, hoping it would raise doubts, but the response crushed her. The court said that without proof of who turned the camera off, the detail was irrelevant. Eleanor felt frustration rise like a wave. She thought this discovery would finally shift the case in her favor, but it was dismissed as unimportant. Vivian continued her campaign behind the scenes, spreading rumors about Eleanor's financial troubles and past debts, none of which were true. These fabricated stories spread quickly, pushing away even longtime friends. People stopped calling, stopped responding to messages, stopped looking her in the eye. Elena's name became synonymous with scandal. The public defender assigned to her case offered little help. He was distant, uninterested, and seemed more focused on closing the case quickly than fighting for justice. Elena felt abandoned by the very system that was supposed to protect her. Back at the Montgomery estate, Sophia quietly drew another picture for Eleanor, this time of them sitting together on the couch. She hid it in her desk drawer, afraid someone would throw it away. She noticed her father wasn't smiling anymore, that Vivian was always on the phone, that the house staff moved cautiously, as if walking on glass. She sensed something was deeply wrong, but no one would explain. One evening, Marcus stumbled upon old security footage while going through the family archives. In one video, he saw Elena comforting Sophia after her mother's death, holding her gently, wiping her tears, speaking softly. The image struck him hard. He had forgotten how much Elena had done for them, especially during their darkest moments. For the first time, he seriously questioned his silence, but still, he did nothing. Then, on the day of the trial, Elena arrived at the courthouse wearing her old work uniform, the only formal clothing she owned. She sat alone, clutching a folder of documents, feeling small in a room full of expensive suits and powerful voices. The prosecutor spoke with confidence, accusing her of betraying the Montgomery family's trust. Witnesses were called, but none offered real evidence. Richard sat in the back, expressionless. Vivian looked calm and satisfied, as if victory were already assured. Sophia sat beside her nanny, small and silent, holding a folded piece of paper. She watched everything with wide eyes, unable to speak. When Elena took the stand, she spoke about her years of service, her care for Sophia, her dedication to the family. Her voice trembled but remained steady. She told the truth, but no one seemed to care. The room stayed cold and silent. She glanced at Sophia, the only person who might still believe in her, and felt her heart break all over again. Then, without warning, the back door of the courtroom opened. Sophia stepped inside, wearing a blazer too big for her, holding a folder against her chest. She walked past the rows of adults, reached the center of the room, and said clearly, I'm my mommy's lawyer." Gasps filled the courtroom. She ran to Elena, wrapped her arms around her, and whispered loudly enough for everyone to hear, "I saw Grandma hide the ring in the safe." Silence fell like a hammer. Vivian froze. Marcus stood up and asked the judge to let his daughter speak. The judge, surprised but attentive, allowed it. Sophia opened her folder and pulled out a drawing showing the layout of Vivian's room, including the exact location of the safe. She explained how she had seen Vivian open the safe and place something shiny inside. Then she repeated the words she had overheard that night. "Grace will be an easy target." The courtroom erupted. The judge ordered an immediate investigation. Vivian tried to dismiss it, claiming Sophia was just a confused child, but her voice wavered. Emily, a young lawyer who had recently joined Elena's defense, stood and formally requested a search of Vivian's home. The judge approved it. Officers were dispatched immediately. That evening, Marcus confronted his mother. He asked her directly where the ring was. After resisting, Vivian finally confessed. She admitted hiding the jewel out of jealousy, fearing she was losing control of the family to Elena's growing influence over Sophia. Marcus searched her room and found a hidden safe behind a false panel. Inside was the ring, along with other missing valuables. He took everything and drove straight to the police station. News of the discovery spread rapidly. Within hours, media outlets reported that the missing heirloom had been found hidden in the Montgomery home all along. Public opinion shifted overnight. People who had condemned Elena now questioned how the case had been handled. Some even posted apologies. Emily acted quickly, filing the new evidence with the court. In the next hearing, she presented photos of the safe, the recovered ring, and Marcus's statement. The judge listened carefully, reviewed the evidence, and then addressed the courtroom. He admitted serious errors had been made and declared Eleanor Carter innocent. The room went still. Then Sophia ran across the floor and hugged Eleanor tightly. Cameras flashed, reporters scribbled notes. The emotional reunion was broadcast everywhere. Elena held Sophia close, tears streaming down her face. Vivian was later found guilty of false accusations and evidence tampering. She was sentenced to house arrest and stripped of her authority over the family's affairs. Her public image crumbled. Marcus held a press conference, apologizing publicly to Eleanor and announcing the creation of a foundation to support women wrongfully accused. He invited Elena to lead it. After some thought, she accepted. Elena didn't want fame or fortune. She wanted purpose. Together with Emily, who became the foundation's legal advisor, she built a program focused on legal aid, emotional support, and public awareness. The foundation grew steadily, helping others who had suffered injustice. Eleanor spent long hours at the office, meeting with survivors, organizing events, and pushing for reform. Her life had changed completely, but not in the way people expected. She still lived in the same apartment, still cooked her own meals, still took long walks. But now, when people passed her on the street, they nodded with respect. Former neighbors who once avoided her now greeted her warmly. She had rebuilt her life, not through revenge, but through purpose. She didn't carry anger anymore. She carried experience and a strong will to ensure no one else would endure what she had. For the first time in a long time, Elena wasn't afraid of what came next. She had freedom, she had respect, and above all, she had her life back. Finally, we've reached the end of this story. I'm extremely happy that you've made it this far. Thank you very much for watching. Comment below what you thought and what was the best or worst part. Don't forget to subscribe. Until next time.